The Button Box by Ilona Krueger of South Penrith, 2750. Narrated by Janine Penfold. The other day, nostalgia visited me. I sorted through greeting cards, hoarded for years, and memories of friendships flooded my mind. Simple moments are jewels, I reflected, as these make up the substance of who we are. Later, I discovered a long, forgotten box, filled to the brim with a multitude of buttons, every single one different from the rest. Immediately, my childlike pastime of rummaging through the medley bewitched me. I was entranced, lost in a potpourri of delight as I placed button after button on the table. Whichever way they were placed, each one added its own flavour, its own value, and its own uniqueness to the mélange. Some were large, some tiny, others were somewhere in between. Some were flamboyant and showy, while others hid behind a simple facade, beautiful and perfect in their own way. Some were brightly coloured and others were paler. Even similar colours were different in shade, size and feel. There were some that instantly caught my eye, while others hid in the background, like wallflowers, too timid to be noticed. I loved every single button, each for what it was. There was no battle for acceptance, no pretense nor apology. Some had sharp edges, some were mellow, some were asymmetrical, and others fully in balance. A few were discoloured and marred, yet had their own beauty, and yet others were wrinkled or even broken. Different compositions, different weights, different endurances. Aged in antiquity or individually innovative. I placed them in patterns, sometimes grouping them according to size or colour or purpose, other times at random. The patterns were never the same. They overlapped here and there, and each time the picture was different. Each placement had a different effect on the greater community of buttons. It was exciting. It was fun. The diversity was amazing. The diversity was countless. The diversity showed me something about the world. Something about people. I imagined all the other button boxes and the endless miscellany. Thousands and millions of other buttons, all special in their own way, all worth something, all with the ability to hold separate pieces of fabric together, creating a bridge, creating a meeting point, creating solidarity, a relationship. It got me thinking, what if we were the buttons, the links of a bracelet that could hold each other together or stop each other from falling apart? What if we were points of contact that related to each other in our own remarkable ways? What if we were part of a huge human collage that was fluid, transient, and forever changing? What if we made an impact in one tiny subset of space, a familiar niche of friends, family, neighbours and co-workers? What if there were many other such niches, all with their world of variety? There are many niches. We can fit here, we can fit there. We can absorb the richness and diversity of others while adding our own to the mix. There is an infinite panorama of combinations and infinite opportunity to overlap, to bring love and joy to the forefront, or perhaps to learn from each other's insights and experiences. When all is said and done, it's the small things that count. Which one of us has not been touched by the handful of weeds lovingly picked and presented by a small child? Which one of us has not felt uplifted by a half-smile from a stranger? Which one of us has not shed a tear over the suffering of a stranger in another part of the world, or felt angry about something that doesn't directly affect us? I saw a man in a shadow the other day, only for a fraction of a second, and yet I remember the image clearly. His clothes were in strips, not just a hole or a worn spot or dirty, but in actual shreds. He carried a plastic bag with probably no more than 3 or 4 things in it. Because of the tiny time frame in which I glimpsed him, I initially wondered whether he was real or just a flickering tangent of thought. I am sure he was real. He seemed destitute. Wealth hadn't crossed his path. Or maybe it had. What was his story? In his rags, he certainly didn't look like a celebrity. And yet, he was someone's son, worthy of recognition. He looked weak, and yet he must have had the strength to carry on in the face of adversity. Was he educated? What were his skills? Who loved him? Where did his thoughts take him, day in and day out? I wondered who else had seen him, or if they even wanted to. I wondered about self-seeking attitudes and the exponential entitlement proclamations where some people felt like they were more deserving than others. So many questions, but no answers. And that's the thing. We don't know the stories. We don't know the circumstances. We don't know the real person inside the deepest layers. Their sufferings, their joys, their mistakes, their successes. But one thing for sure, we are all in the button box, thrown into vast diversity. And we all have to live with each other. People can be broken and still go on. There can be many reasons. Some of us do not fit the formula. We feel out of place, like a hairy wart on a smooth face, like a fish in a sandpit, like a dangling button on a beautiful garment. People can see, but still be blind. People can hear, but still not listen. People can say they love, but nevertheless have a stone-cold heart. I kept scrabbling around in the button box, and the status quo changed. I pulled out a sad-looking one, scratched and cracked, battered by its surroundings, the colour worn off. I wondered about the tale it had to tell. I thought, which button am I? Which one are you? The button box is a treasure for its diversity. What a great reason to celebrate. The end. This story is also narrated in German in this anthology.